Hello, Mr. Tunde Banjoko. It's a great pleasure to have this opportunity to chat with you on behalf of Ten2Teens Magazine. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good. I just wanted to start by saying thanks for this organisation. I've just had a look around. Mandy's just taken me, through the building and stuff. And it's a great work you guys are doing here. Thanks for that. We'll be talking more about that in a few minutes.
Thank you very much.
Just a little background. I'm Phinnah Ikeji. I'm the founder of Ten2Teens Magazine. Ten2Teens Magazine kind of came about with a desire to kind of see a balanced perception about our youths, especially black youths. There's a lot of negative stories that we hear about. We do acknowledge that they do happen, but it seems to be that even with the kids, there's just this general negative perception about our youths. We do have youths that know better and act better, but because of generalized misconception about it, they're all kind of put in the same boat, and it's not really fair on them. So what we want to do is share more positive news as well, show what great things kids are doing out there, also show what great things great models like yourself are doing, and showcasing young writers, young poets, show young talents out there. We also want to show mainstream that it's not just guns and violence that our kids are all about. There's so many things our kids are all about, and that's what Ten2Teens wants to promote and showcase and share. And that's what brings us to your office here.
That's wonderful.
Yeah? So we just wanted to kind of know more about you and share with our youths, because we kind of believe that our youths listening and hearing from great people like you kind of motivates them, people that they can relate to, that kind of motivates them and pushes them forward to do what they need to do. We believe that this platform will kind of, even if it changes one or two kids, that's one or two kids that won't be on the streets. That's one or two kids that will make their parents proud. That's one or two kids that will go further and achieve much more than society thinks that they will achieve. Absolutely. So it's a great pleasure to be here. Thanks for your time.
Thank you very much.
Okay. So I first saw you featured in, I was watching MP David Lamy's short feature, it's a documentary on black fatherhood in the 21st century. A very good eye-opener documentary, I must say. And following just from the gist of the documentary, what advice would you give our boys on the importance of their roles in their families and in their communities?
I think the role of boys is of vital importance. They're going to have to eventually provide for themselves and for their families. They're going to have to take leadership roles just by definition of their gender. And it's really important that boys see themselves in a positive light. And that's not always easy, because as you said, there's a lot of negativity around black masculinity.
Yes.
But I always encourage boys to challenge that, to challenge themselves, to see themselves in an altogether more positive light. Because actually, very often, the only limits on them are the limits that they place on themselves.
Exactly.
And if they realise that, and they work hard enough, because it doesn't come easy.
No, at all.
But if they realise that there are no limits other than those that they place on themselves, they could achieve whatever they want.
That's very true. That's very true. That's good. As a founder and chief executive of LIP organisation, what does LIP stand for, and what does it do?
It comes from our genesis. We originally were an organisation that focused on employment projects.
Okay.
So it stands for Local Employment Access Projects. Now it's just LEAP. Because what we do now is wider than that we originally did. What we do now is work to improve the social and economic well-being of individuals from disadvantaged backgrounds. In short, we're about social mobility. We're about saying that people's lives don't have to be determined by the families that they're born into. Now, if you are born into poorer families, that does make your life harder. But we work in schools and by running employment projects to try and help people who haven't had the best starts in life, to try and help them to overcome their circumstances and to be who they really want to be and achieve what they want to achieve.
Okay, that is fantastic. And I mean, helping youths in general, it's such a fulfilling achievement. Do you know what I mean? It's such a fulfilling achievement. Money can't even buy it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
I completely agree. It's quite funny actually, because originally I never expected to be working in this line of work.
Okay.
I wanted to make a lot of money.
Okay.
I wanted to work in the city. I wanted to work in IT, and I fell into this. And when I fell into this, I actually wasn't going to do it for very long. I was just going to do it until I got one of those well-paying jobs. And we used to be based in a building in Harlesden, which was 2 floors up. And we used to be based in that building, and because it was on the high street, quite often, when I was on my way to work, or went out for lunch, or on my way home from work, we'd see people that we'd helped. And I would see people that I'd helped, and I would say, hey, how are you doing? And I'd say, hey, Tunde, I'm doing this now, and it's all down to you. Thank you very much. The next day, I'd see somebody else. Hey, Tunde, I'm doing this now. Thank you very much. And after a while, I started to think, wow, this feels really, really good. And I'm fortunate enough to work with a fantastic group of colleagues, and without a shadow of a doubt, I'm doing a job that actually I would do for free. I love what I do. I think it's really important. It's rich in social capital rather than financial wealth. And it's, as I say, it's something I love doing, and I'm very passionate about.
That's very, very good. And I must add that you did, you were awarded an OBE in the 2008 Queen's Honours Birthday Honours List, which is quite an achievement, and we're very proud of you for that.
Thank you very much.
How did receiving the OBE feel?
It's an interesting question. When I first found out I was going to be awarded the OBE, I actually felt quite depressed. And I couldn't understand why. And as more people found out about it, the more depressed I felt, because people would come up to me and say, oh, Tunde, this is fantastic. Made me feel more depressed. Oh, Tunde, you so deserve this. Made me feel more depressed. Oh, Tunde, this is not just for you, this is from all of us boys back in Acton. Made me feel more depressed. Oh, Tunde, this has restored my faith in the honour system. Made me feel more depressed. And I couldn't understand why I felt so depressed about it. Anyway, a few months later, after the award was announced, I was on holiday and still feeling quite down about this OBE, and I couldn't understand why. And there I was, lying on a beach, and I was reading this book. And it was in reading this book I understood why I was feeling low. And I was feeling low because people were treating me as if I was successful. And I'd always defined success by making a lot of money, and I hadn't made a lot of money. And so I felt as if I was a fraud. So I felt any moment now, all these people that were treating me if I was successful would come up to me and say, well, you haven't made a lot of money. Oh, we take back our congratulations. And it was when I read this book that I realised that success isn't just about making money at all. It's about doing the thing that's important to you and doing the thing that's important to you well. And I realised that if when I started in a room smaller than this, with 3 desks, 1 telephone, no computers, if when I'd started somebody had said to me that I'd end up being part of an organisation that had served 20,000 disadvantaged people in London, I would have said, wow, that'd be fantastic. If somebody had said to me then that, yes, Tunde, you're going to end up helping 5,000 people into work, I would say, that would be amazing. If somebody had said to me, yes, Tunde, actually, the organisation you're going to be a part of is actually literally going to save lives, is going to build this magnificent building and provide resources for people that no one else is providing for, I would say that's absolutely amazing. And so then when I realised what it was that actually I was that getting the OBE was just recognition of the fact that I, along with my colleagues, had managed to do the thing that was important to me. I felt very proud. The other thing was when I went to collect the OBE, I went with my children, and that was a very important thing for me, because, you know, they've now already at their young ages been in Buckingham Palace, and even though I don't think it's clicked yet, my hope is that going forward, they know they can go into Buckingham Palace. They've been there, and if they work hard enough, as I say, I hope they realise that there's nothing they can't achieve.
Definitely, I'm sure they're very proud. Very proud.